If we move on to InnerFight a little bit, because this is obviously quite important for me and also hopefully for you guys, and maybe this will help you on a personal level, because this is actually how I came along with a number of our values, or pretty much our values, is what I thought was important as a leader of this brand, or as the owner of the brand, the founder of the brand, and now the joint owner of the brand, what was important back then. And when I looked at our goal of making people better at life, I first, and related it to fitness, one thing that I saw, and I've spoken about this openly in the past, one thing that I saw was that people weren't enjoying working out. I'd go to gyms and I'd see people with headphones on, not looking super happy, not smiling. No one was ever talking about fitness as fun. And therefore I thought, well, one of the most important things is that we make it fun. If we make it fun, then people have more reasons to come. If we make it fun, it's more sustainable. So how do we make it fun? We design workouts that are fun. We talk to people in a way that's more relaxed. And then I started to list all these different behaviors that actually could make fitness fun. And without giving away all of the secrets, although they're no secrets at all, we brought this element of fun from the first time that you approach the company to the first time that you enter the gym, to how we talk to people on the gym floor, to how we coach people, to how we say goodbye to people. And I wrote a full handbook on the elements that should be followed and the various important points that would get our value of fun across, because I figured that if we were to make it fun for people, then people would sustain it for longer, which, yes, would give us a business for longer, but would make them healthier for longer, happier, and therefore I can only presume that that would help to achieve our vision of making people better at life. So that was how we came, or that was how I came to value number one. Another value that I came to, I think probably when I was quite young, which was from my dad, which was hard work. And he said, you have to work hard. And I remember, for those of you that are probably around my age, maybe a little bit older, but definitely not younger, because he wasn't so well known then, but maybe you've read books about him. He actually passed away a few years ago. A guy called Zig Ziglar always used to talk about paying first and then eating, which is basically how it goes on. And he used the American diner, where I think you walk in, or some buffet example where you actually just go and pay your money and then you can go and eat whatever you want. Life is quite similar to that, he said, in that you have to work, and then you get to eat the rewards of it, same as the farmer. There's lots of different examples of this, but we figured that if you work hard consistently, obviously your life will become a bit better. If you work hard in the fitness space, your life will become a bit better. And that's why we purposely make sessions, classes, whether it's part of a class, whether we came up when we first started doing, which was way back in the day, Thursday therapy, we'd make it exceptionally hard on that particular day. Sometimes we would sacrifice maybe the direction of our program. Now we try more scientifically to make sure it works in with our program, but we make the workout exceptionally hard on that day, because we know that overcoming that hardship, so we use the workout, the behavior is getting people to do hard work, and it makes that value come to life, which there also feeds our vision of making people better at life. The third thing that I identified, and again, I think this value, and that's why these values are quite close to my own values, because they came, a lot of them, from my family as well. My dad used to always say to me, he said, I don't care what you do, I don't care what mistakes you make, just be honest about things. And hence our brand value, honesty. And if you look, or if you think back to the top of the show where I talked about human values, one of them being truth, honesty is super important, especially in an environment like ours. And that's how we behave with people. If we put a number of reps on the board, we expect them to be honest about it. And if they are honest, so if they exercise the behavior of doing the reps and they do them honestly, then they will get better at life. But people, and I can't stand there and count all the people. I can count about 5 people at once, just in case you're wondering. And sometimes I react and sometimes I won't react. But if you want to come into the gym and you want to not be honest, then and not do the 40 reps that's on the board, then there's a pretty good chance that you will not get better at life. And that's not our fault, that's your fault. And I'm totally shirking that responsibility away from you, because all I'm asking from that word on the board is honesty. And this applies to all of our coaching. It's a little bit harder to fluff around it in endurance, because with Training Peaks that we use, with the software that we use, we can see exactly what you're doing and where you're doing it at the moment. So the only thing that you can do is bullshit why you didn't do it. You can't say that you did something that you didn't do. But the behavior is executing the workout, and that is therefore reinforcing the value of honesty. And we are confident that if you do that, the sessions that we write, the exercise that we write, you will become better at life. So we'll help you to achieve what might be your vision, because everyone wants to live a good life, hopefully, and also our vision as well. The fourth brand value that we have is simplicity. And I think this was born on the fact that I'm not overly intelligent, and when people give me far too much information, I kind of have a little bit of a meltdown stroke overload, and I'm like, can you please simplify that for me? So what we always try and do is ask the question of how can we make this a little bit simpler? So a lot of what we do, a lot of our behavior to make this value come to life is just taking something. When we're building strength, we'll always look at old school strength principles that we know work, because they're the simplest, they're the easiest to execute, they're quite simple to coach, and then they have the impact of making people stronger, which makes them at the same time a lot better at life as well. And this applies to all of our sort of inner fight coaching and training principles as well. We're always looking how we can do it simple. Especially in this day and age where we have an increasing amount of choice, we are stuck with an insane amount of decision fatigue because we're considering a load of different options. Previously, in earlier years of maybe many people's lives, they'd only have one option, or they'd have one or two options. Now we could have half a dozen options, which is making things a lot harder for us. So if we try to keep things a lot simpler and we try and look at a simpler way, so our behavior is saying, how can we do this simpler, then we achieve the value, and not making things overly complicated. That's why, and this is one of the great things on CrossFit as well. And I remember on my level 1 CrossFit course, when they're advising us or trying to teach us, it was quite different then, because it was more of a conversation than a course. The guy who was teaching the course, or one of the guys, was Pat Sherwood. He's still involved, I think, in CrossFit, although that's a revolving door in itself. And he said the way to approach your programming for workouts is live your life in couplets or triplets and occasionally go long. So that means 2 exercises or 3 exercises is probably all a workout needs. And that's how we're displaying as well things within our programming, that we're not making things overly complicated. We're keeping things simple, therefore people can focus 100%. And if I give you 3 or 4 complex movements at once, and don't hold me to this because we might have it in the program at some stage, but we will always try and avoid 3 or 4 high skill movements, such as there will not be handstand push-ups, rope climbs, muscle ups, or toes to bar. It wouldn't make sense scientifically, but we wouldn't put all of those 4 things in one workout because it's just far too complicated. The next thing that we believe in is mental toughness. And we believe that a strong mind obviously delivers strong performance. The behavior that we have, or what we do a lot within our training, is make sessions hard, that they're hard mentally. It's not always about being hard physically. And this is definitely true within the gym and outside the gym equally as well. A lot of the training that I'll do for ultra athletes, for endurance athletes, sometimes it's not really about the physical side, physical adaptations, because a lot of them are already quite well physically adapted, but we need to train their mind. We know in top level sport that, and we've seen it said a number of times, and even to a certain extent, and don't quote me on this, but I think there is certain bits of research that kind of prove that there are bits of research, because they collect a lot of data on the athletes, and the athletes can be exactly the same. And I think, who said it recently on Rich Roll, Cam Worth said, we're all on exactly the same programs. We all know the numbers. I'm not sure he was talking about training programs or doping programs. However, don't quote me on that. And they know the difference really is in the mental toughness. So therefore we have to put things into programs which put people under pressure in ways that are not just physical, they're also mental. So we're trying to exercise that behavior a lot to try and ensure that we help people build mental toughness. And we really fully understand, because we've seen it in a number of cases across the years, that when people are able to build this mental toughness, some people call it confidence in themselves within a gym environment, they're then able to almost develop or be free or be lighter or be more successful in other parts of life, be it their professional life or their personal life. So the mind plays this huge role within the gym, but the benefits of it, of having this value, actually pass over to a number of different areas of life. And the final thing that we take as a value is an attitude towards getting the best out of life. And in that, we call it the value smash life. We want people to wake up every single day ready to live with a desire to do well and an ability to say yes to things. We don't want people to always feel like they can't do something because of either a physical or a mental limitation, which if we do those above 5 things, there should be no there'll be a physical limitation to running a sub 2-hour marathon for most of us, for most of our lives. However, there will never be a limitation to someone saying, yes, I will run a marathon, and that's it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I will run it. I can run it. And today, that's what I want to do with my life. And that's something that is less easy to, I think, measure the behavior of. It's certainly a lot more subjective and maybe for some people a lot harder to measure the actual outcome of. However, and I'll say this with confidence, you can almost track the time that you've been with us and the things that you say yes to, the confidence that you have that actually would fall under, I am smashing life, I am getting the best out of life, I am getting better at life. And then they all feed back into that. So it's kind of, if you look at it, we have those clear behaviors, and I'll just recap them to make it, I spoke a lot there about our 6 values, but if you look at fun, the meaning of fun is that we're actually enjoying what we're doing, and the way that our deliberate behavior is by smiling at people, having a fun attitude, and programming stuff that we see as fun. For hard work, we want to push people. It doesn't matter what the class is, if it's a busy class or if it's a class with 1 or 2 people, if it's a one-on-one client or a big group session at the track. We want to make sure that we can push people to work in a zone that we know is quite challenging and hard for them. In honesty, we say it straight. That's our behavior. If we have a problem, we say directly, and we always appreciate that other people do. Sometimes people actually send me feedback and they'll say, I'm not sure if I should say this or not, and you can say whatever you want, and it's always really appreciated. Simplicity, we mix science with a little bit of almost logic, that we don't want things to be overcomplicated, and we reaffirm that through our approach to pretty much everything we do. We understand that mental toughness is our action and behavior there, is that it's not just physical. We want to do things that challenge the mind mentally. So sometimes we'll put a certain part of a workout together based on the fact that it is super challenging mentally, not always physically. And I proved that with things like whenever you put 100 as a number of reps, people just absolutely shit themselves. Whenever you put a high number, we're going to do 30 200s today. People shit themselves, and those 200s could be at 10K pace, but their mindset is that it's a big number. So we'll do that often. And the Smash Life, we want people, the behavior is we want to see people going out and living.